Alright, good morning everybody. Mike here from Northeastern Dirt and Property Maintenance. Hey, we're on a little bit of a different project here this morning. It's Saturday morning, and we're getting a beautiful run of weather here in Northeastern Ontario. I just checked the forecast. We've already had a couple nice days, and we're in for, like, so far, a week of nice temperatures, 22 to 25, and pretty clear. Not much rain in the forecast at all for the next week. And, okay, so what we're on this morning, I got the U25 back in the bush at home here, and what I'm doing now is I am cutting a bush road, actually a glorified trail, call it a bush road. It's going to be big enough to get the Kubota back there. I've wanted to do it for a while, and I'm caught up on a lot of things here, thank goodness, so I'm going to start working on this road. And I got the machine back there right now, but I got a loose hydraulic fitting on the thumb. I got to get an adjustable wrench. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook the grapple on the ASV. I'm going to take that back there, and I'm going to clear some of the brush along the trail on the way back there. So we'll swap this attachment out, and we'll get at her. You'll notice how easy that grapple quick connected to that machine, even though that grapple only sat for a day or two because I was using it the other day. That's why it coupled up so easily. But as I mentioned before in my other videos, if you got an attachment like this with a quick coupler system, flat face coupler, and you're done with your attachment, unhook it, clip them together, your attachment, and leave it outside. That way when your oil expands in the hot sun and everything, it can balance in the circuit inside between the piston and the hoses. So when you go to connect it to your machine, you don't have that built-up pressure. It's a lot easier to quick connect them to your attachment if you leave your attachment hoses coupled together when you're done. Just a tidbit. Okay, let's head back to the bush. Alright, so have a look at the runway we got cut down through here. That was the old snowmobile trail. And now that's going to be a bush road, and it's going to go back a long, long, long way. All right, so as you guys can see, thanks. There's several different functions for that grapple, but one of them is nice is if you're back dragging or you're pushing forward. If you don't have any rocks, that grapple works nice. If you're in the sandy loam or even black loam and you don't have rocks or rough country, that root grapple right there, if you set those tines down and you run through the soil, you can lift up a lot of roots and cut up a lot of roots. But as you can see, I was back dragging with it because the country's so rough here, rocks and brush and everything. I just let that thing in the float position and just use it for a rake, and I'll end up combing this whole trail. All right, we'll carry on. As you guys can see, you take those AR plate tines, them hardened tines, and you set them down below grade anywhere where you want to push. I just wanted to square this up a little bit so when I come through with the tractor there wasn't a point here. You set that down and those AR tines, they'll get into the roots. And let me tell you, this is rocky ground here, but if you're in good ground, and I've worked this machine in good ground in southern Ontario, it's like running a comb through slick hair, man, in good ground. You just go right through it, and you can comb that soil any way you want. It works beautifully. And way back there, you can see the Kubota. I got a hydraulic oil leak. I had to get a wrench, so we got a leak in the thumb. Just a loose O-ring, or loose fitting. After that back drag here, as I said earlier, you can see those tines. You could do this with a landscape rake, taking your time, but the difference on the landscape rake is your spring teeth, they've got a lot of forgiveness in them. It's more for lighter work, but you could do it. As where this AR plate stiff teeth, they just go in the ground and they dig, and they just float with the contour of the land. And once you're done back dragging and you get your shit in a pile all around the tines, all your brush and weeds and small trees, then you just push them back. And you can see already, look at the progress, and that's just with 1 or 2 drags. So you hit this a few times with the grapple on here, and you can really smooth this trail out. As you can see right there, we're going right into a meadow, and then we're going to start going uphill. Once we get across this meadow, we actually start to go uphill in the land of the smaller maples and spruce and a log, and we're going to meet an old logging road, and that's going to be several days away because it's a long way back. And it's all high ground back there, hills and valleys. All right, we'll carry on. All right, another quick introduction to where we are. We're actually in some of the lowest part of my land. There's some beaver ponds way at the back, but they're dry. So down here where I'm cutting this trail through right now, this will be all wet in the springtime and late fall too. It's great for snowmobiling when it freezes up in the winter, and you can work in here in the summer a little bit. But as you can tell, it's mostly all just moose alder in here, and lots of poplar, tamarack, and spruce. But it just gets thick in here. This has been logged in 2000, so 22 years ago this property was logged. But right now we're just cutting a road through the lowest portion of the property. That's why there's so many alders right here. It's not till we get up there several hundred meters that the land actually starts going up to the mountain tops, it gets rockier, but the trees become more hard maple and much bigger spruce up inside. It actually turns into quite a mixed forest. This is just lowland, swampy shit here. All right, so this fitting here on the hydraulic thumb up top, it was the one that came loose on me right here, and we lost a little bit of oil, not too much, and that was just probably from trees and brush hitting this. You have to be so careful when you're working in the thick woods here. You can blow a line, you can tear a line off, you got to be real careful. So anyway, we're heading right up through this alder swamp, and it's going to be a long time of cutting and pushing. So we got that tight. We'll carry on. The unfortunate part of some of this, and some guys may disagree or agree, whatever, when you're cutting in like this and whether you're running chainsaw or excavator, when you're stumping, the unfortunate part is when you pull a stump out, especially in lowland like this, you're gonna have water pockets. Even when you pull out those alder stumps there, all you can really do is shave it in later on with a track machine or the excavator, try and fill them in as best as you can. But every time you pull out, even if you shake off the dirt back in the hole as much as you can, you're gonna have a water pocket. And all these little land mines where these come out, they're just gonna be soft spots and they're gonna get full of water. But what can you do? You can only work here when the ground is dry, and then that's all there is to it. So that's why with the grapple, you just try and smooth them out, and that's really all you can do. All right, she's just after lunch, probably about 1:30 now, and we're just stomping our way through this low swamp here. This is lower brushy territory, and I'll show you something else here. We're cutting it right up through this bush. We're just going and going. Can you see that surveyor stake in there, you guys? When I bought this property, I went and I found almost every survey stake for this property. Just a lot of legwork. I had the survey, and just a lot of hunting, and she wasn't easy. And I went and I punched T-bars in beside every legal surveyor stake, and then I put flagging tape there so you know exactly where the property line is. So as you can tell, we're 40 feet off the survey line, going right by the neighbor's property, going straight back. And this is part of the 15 acres on that side of the stake that was carved off this 100-acre plot. So I got roughly 85, and 15 acres that way belongs to the neighbor. So just in case you wondered, how the hell do I know where I'm going? I'm following my old snowmobile trail and my old cuts from when I was clearing here last winter, and I knew I would come right by that surveyor stake anyway. So there you go. We're making some good headway, and we're just plowing our way right through that timber right there. Alright, you guys, I'm going to show you a little scarification. I've been scarifying this whole thing with those teeth on that grapple, back dragging and pushing, and I'm going to show you. If you look closely, you see all these little slivers sticking out of the ground here. They're annoying and they're hard in your ATV tire. Well, watch carefully how you can use that root grapple to your advantage. All right. Does a hell of a lot better. Well, it also digs some up too at the same time, but it does a nice job of scarifying, and it will pull up the old roots and the big tree roots and everything, and allows you to grapple them and just pull them out, so it works good. Okay, and for anybody out there, I've said to customers many times, well, my base rate on my equipment's 90 bucks an hour, and they're like, holy shit, they're shell-shocked. Well, have a good look at what we accomplished today so far. I mean, you can't tell on here, but I mean, there's an immense amount of work that at 90 bucks an hour I did with that, and that's with the U25 smaller machine, only in tight quarters here. If you have a look at the amount of trail, ahead of this camera that I cleared with that U25 and that ASV. Like, we got a lot of bush road knocked in today, a tremendous amount of work done today. Have a look, I cut her through, and these were basically, now we're not talking big trees or anything here, we're talking brush, but it's still time consuming, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but look at the work you can get done with those two, and those are small machines. And she's coming out good. I just want it wide enough for that tractor to get in here and a trailer. And we're gradually going uphill now. As we're walking, we're going out of the swamp. And we're going uphill. This, where the machine is, we're going uphill, and eventually we're going to hit an old logging road in here, and that's my goal. Well, take a good look in front of the machine. That's what you're going through right there. You're rooting them trees, and you're just going through the bush. And we got a lot of work done today, and now I'm low on fuel, so I'm leaving the machine here, and I'll bring a jug of fuel back when I come back, maybe tomorrow morning, maybe late this afternoon, I don't know yet. But that's how far we've got. And you look ahead of the machine, and we're going to go now. Now we're going to start heading west toward a old cut logging road from 2000. All right, good day, everybody. Mike here from Northeastern Dirt and Property Maintenance. I worked Saturday and I worked Sunday, about half a day. So I worked about 12 hours on this bush road right here. I figure 12 hours, and to get this whole thing knocked in so far to where I want it to be. And if you look down here, this was the old snowmobile trail right here, but it was very narrow. And if you watch my videos, I'll put a link in the description where you guys can see how narrow this trail truly was and how incomplete it was further on up. I opened this whole bush road right up now, and now you can drive a tractor back here. So I seeded it down today, and I'll take you back there and I'll show you the end result. This is the beginning of the trail right here. And this whole area is quite low. This is, like I said before, there's lots of alder in here, lots of balsam fir, and lots of tamarack. This is fairly low in here. And so I finished up, basically last night, I finished the trail system up. And I got it to where I wanted, knowing I was going to come down this morning and seed it. But lo and behold, we come back this morning, and the deer were already on this trail. Back here where I knocked down them small sugar maple and all the alders and the birch, pushed them off to one side last night, boom. The deer already were on here on the browse right away, so that's a good sign. And it makes it nice for bow hunting and a good rifle shot too. So we'll carry on and we'll go down here and have a little look. Alright, so right here gives you a really good idea on what was here. This was virtually useless in here. This was so full of alder, and there was really hardly no snowmobile trail. You had to wind between the alders. It was only maybe 40 inches wide, 3 feet wide, just enough to get a snowmobile through in the wintertime. Garbage. So now I got it blown wide open, and you can see the trail snakes through these alders, and it starts going up the hill. I'll show you back here. And last night in here, all along in here this morning, deer tracks along up in here, and they've been munching on these I assume on the sugar maple, the young hard maple leaves, that is what they must really like. And MJ came back here and she seen the deer from way back there, and they were walking along here just browsing. So I'm going to put a couple feeders back here, no doubt. So this is the alder swamp all through here. And you can see how nicely this road turned out. And there was absolutely nothing here, man. This was just cut in. This is like a day and a half's work. And that's what I say to people when they complain about 90 bucks an hour. Well, if you get 2 pieces of equipment, and this is smaller equipment, and you just get at her from, you know, morning till evening, 8 to 10 hour a day, you can do a lot of work with 2 pieces of equipment. This here just shows you. And if you look around, you can see all the alders, all the brush, everything that was pushed aside. So this morning I come through with the cedar, white clover, and some fescue, some leftover lawn seed and everything, and I seeded this whole thing this morning by hand, and then I ran it over for seed to soil contact with a tractor, and we're actually getting rain today. It's 75 degrees and we're getting rain, so we just need that seed to soak up that moisture, and the ground's already, this is going to be a wet area. You're actually going to have to put on heavy rubber boots if you're going to tree stand for deer. Oh, now we got thunderstorms coming. So anyway, we're heading back to get the excavator. I left it back in the bush last night. It's starting to thunder, and it's way back in. So let's go get that machine and bring it up to the house. And it didn't take the deer very long to find this location. You guys can tell me what you think in them comments about this trail, but I'll tell you, there was nothing here. Nothing. This was all blown through, and it come out pretty good. And all we got to do is get one fall of leaves on here and get that seed going, and we'll be styling. As you can see right there, that's a deer track. And they came up this way last night, so they came off the high ground. And all this heavy, thick bush right here, this is all going uphill now. We're down in a basin. Everything from here goes uphill. And now we're going to start walking uphill. And this is where we enter the logging road. Right here. Oh, sorry for the camera shakes. So when it comes to deer hunting back here in this thick brush and everything else too, and by the time I put a couple feeders in, the deer are going to take this path, the path of least resistance. They're going to browse, they're going to nibble. They're going to come from their bedding areas, and they're going to watch the wind when they come into my tree stands too, and they're going to take this path, and they're just going to meander along browsing until they hit them feeders. So this is all being set up for bush access, and hopefully going to be set up for a bow shot or a rifle shot back here. So now we're on the logging road. There's what the old logging road used to look like right there. That's it, overgrown. And here's going to be the new logging road so far right here. I showed you in the other video right there. And the excavator is way up this logging road. So now we're on high ground, and you can tell by looking at the ground here. Lots of organics way up high, and lots of good hardwood leaf cover up here. So we're going uphill. And I see the deer tracks come up here already. If you got a keen eye and you're looking, you can see it. All right, so I went all the way back to the beaver ponds back in there with a machine last night. And right now, we're sitting on some high ground. And over here in front of me is a big dry beaver pond, probably 150 yards over. The hilltop goes down, and there's a big beaver pond back in here. And the deer love to come through these small maple, spruce, and all that on top of these mountaintops to this logging road and use this logging road for a corridor. And the thing about this trail, you guys, this is a crossover area. We're in northeast Ontario right here. There's a few moose that hang around too, and hopefully we'll get some of them on camera this year. And they love coming down here. And if you look at all these young sugar maple here, these rock maple, moose maple, that's what they call them around here, you'll see where a lot of those bulls have just scarred the shit. Lots of scars from those bull moose. And if you look, these are old, but all these young maple have been hit by the racks of them bulls, and you'll see it's quite prevalent. And they really only hit the sugar maple. They don't fool around with anything else. If you look here, right here, right there, man, that's off the rack of a bull. And he's in there, he's got it behind here up high. And sometimes you'll see that those racks, they're up as high as you can reach with your hands up there. They're up over 6 feet. And the trees are just scarred to pieces. I found several bull rubs in here on the trees last year, just steaming hot on fire, fresh as could be. And they just shredded these hard maple. They love it. So this trail now is pretty manageable and now becomes usable to get back here with an ATV and get back here with whatever you want to bring back here. But what this trail here does now, I got to bring back the track machine and I'll do some more work to this portion of the trail. It goes all the way back to 2 abandoned dry beaver ponds back there, and you'll see moose sign around them quite a bit actually. So that's where we are. That's where we came from. And you can see it now makes this a nice usable trail to get back onto the property, and I plan on cutting a lot more trails in here. There's also an old abandoned logging road on the other side, several hundred yards over. I'm going to clean that up too. So away we go. Okay, here's where she becomes a rocky ride right here. As you can see, if you look, you can see the rocks sticking up here. She gets rough. About the roughest part of the trail right here. When you're in an excavator anyway. So the reason I don't clean up this logging road beyond here that way is because the property line's probably only maybe 40 yards down this logging road, and then the property line has a boundary here to the neighbor's property. Even though the logging road goes through both properties, I'm going to just let it stay overgrown, and from here back, and I know where the surveyor stakes are up there, so I'm not going to bother cleaning the trail. I'm just going to let it overgrow to the property line and then forget about it. Or normally I would have cleaned it right to the property line, but I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to open it up and make access or anything. I just want to keep being a good neighbor, and likewise. was looking for these. Alright you guys, I'm going to show you how I take some of these trees out of here. I'm just going to knock this tree down because it sticks out as a point in the trail here a little bit, so I'll knock this tree down, and everybody does it a different way. Oh, now you can hear me better. Everybody knocks a tree down a different way. These are small, shallow-rooted trees. Everything here is shallow-rooted. You don't get much hardwood until you get up where we were in the high ground. But anyway, you definitely don't want to get on a tree and pull it toward your machine, because sure as shit it's going to fall on the machine. It happens all the time. So first thing you do, we'll just push it over, grab the root ball, and we'll pull it out. But just watch what I do here. This is just what works for me, and I find it to work pretty effectively. Sometimes they fight you, sometimes they don't. First, just push that tree away. That way you're free and clear of your machine. You know it's not going to topple on top of your machine. That was a pretty simple one, but it's just a good general rule of thumb. What I do is try and tuck them into the bush. And if you can use some other trees to your advantage to push out with your boom and your stick and snap the tree in half and tuck it in the bush, works pretty quick and efficient. But except sometimes you have to be careful, because there may be trees that you don't want to skive off the bark, and you don't want to damage your trees in the bush, so that's probably not the best way to do it. But if you don't really give a shit, like these trees like me, I just pound them in, I break them, and I shove them in the bush, because there's tons of trees here, and we'll just keep going. But that's how I jam them in the bush, just pile them up and let them go. So that portion of the logging road wasn't too bad. That was a day, like I say, a day and a half's work, probably 12 hours spaced in an 8-hour day. And got a nice job out there, got it all seeded down, got it all tamped in. And now we're getting some nice rains. Like I say, it's probably 70, 75 degrees out there now, and it's just starting to rain right there. And we get rain pretty much weekly. And it's pretty much the perfect summer for growing fruit trees, lawn, seed, everything. And so it come out pretty good back there. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. And I'm going to be knocking more bush roads in here and making more runways for that bush. Makes the bush more usable. It actually steers the deer, steers the moose too. And I got it seeded down, so everything uses that trail. It should be good for everything back there. All right, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you again.